This is a HeadGum podcast.
Wait, something that's annoying me. Oh, I know. So I saw the movie Horrible Bosses.
The first one.
The first one. Did y'all see that?
Yeah,
I saw it.
I've seen both of them.
So I finally not finally saw it. It wasn't like a movie that was in my queue. I just
But you finally saw it.
decided to watch it.
Yeah.
And man, that movie pissed me off.
What happened,
Why?
brother?
Because of motherfucking Jones?
Yes.
Tell us why.
So here's the thing, though. I like all those guys, right? Jason Degas, Jason Bateman,
Mikey,
Charlie Day. All very funny to me. Like we talk about It's Always Sunny. Love that show.
Yeah.
Jason Sudeikis on SNL was great. Arrested Development, love it. And the movie, it was like I was enjoying it. It was like kind of dumb, but I was enjoying it. But it's 3 white male leads, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody in the movie is white,
right?
Until they get to one part where they're driving and they're like, they ask the GPS to take them to a bad neighborhood. They're like, take us to a neighborhood where people get shot. And like,
is that what they say?
Yeah, and the GPS is like,
no.
I don't know what you're talking.
Oh, okay.
Like, no,
I can't remember.
Like, I can't do that. And then they're like, I guess I could take you to a bad neighborhood. They like GPS take us to what do they call it? A hitman. Take us to a hitman, and they're like, "What?
I'll take you to a hitman?
I'll take you to a bad neighborhood because they're trying to kill their bosses." Right?
Oh, and the GPS says I'll take you to a bad neighborhood.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And I'll take you to a bad neighborhood, and of course, and I was like, Lord, please do not let this be the first time we see black people in this movie. I said it out loud, and of course, they drive up, they walk into a club or a bar or whatever, all black people.
Because it's a bad neighborhood.
They go up to the bartender, and basically Jason Sudeikis does this routine of we're looking for somebody like a killer, blah blah blah, and the guy basically says something like, you're only here because we're black, get out of here. And I was like, okay, that still not justifying this to me, you know what I mean? And then what happens after that? Here comes Jamie Foxx.
Hold on, wait, time out. So you mean Oscar-winning Jamie Foxx?
Oscar-winning.
Academy Award-winning Jamie Foxx.
Two-time nomination.
Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx.
Yes.
Jamie Foxx of Ray.
Okay.
Of Collateral.
Okay.
Of The Soloist.
hey, chill out. Just
wait, no, back it up. Back it up.
Dreamgirls.
And his name is, I can't even say his name. What's his name, James?
Motherfucker Jones. Wait, I gotta do it like him in the movie.
Bro.
The name Motherfucker Jones. And they're like, what? Motherfucker Jones.
Is that your birth name? Or that's the whole thing. And I was just like, what is happening in this film?
You know what? What you're talking about right now brings up a point. I'm not about to get too deep in this because but someone's brought up this thing on CNN recently talking about how the media just portrays black people outside of when it's a police shooting or something bad happens. And it's how the media presents black people just in the world in general. So for instance, this movie with 3 pretty well-known white male comedians, which thousands of people will see. Millions of people will see this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The Oscar-winning, the most famous black person technically that we have, one of the most famous ones is in this movie playing a criminal. Mm-hmm. He may be a funny criminal, but he's a criminal.
A criminal.
And the thing is, that's what we're presenting. The black dude, oh, don't worry, it's Jamie. He's not a bad criminal, but he's still a criminal.
I kind of in line with this, but not exactly because the movie plays up a lot of different stereotypes. But I just watched The Lady Killers. Again, I just watched it again, but and I remember not loving it the first time that I saw it, but it was on. So I was like, I'm on. Marlon Wayans' character in it, all the characters are big and silly, but it's the joke of his character is that he's black. The joke is that he's black, and they play up how he's not very bright and he always has a gun that he can just pull at any point.
Right.
And like, and he's very like, hold up, man, what, Disney, and like, and it's just like,
Is that a Coen Brothers film?
Oh, it is a Coen Brothers
it's a
film.
Coen Brothers film.
Oh, you mean the same Coen Brothers that did what is that, Hail Caesar, and it didn't have any people of color except for like one or two?
Yeah.
Oh, just Hail Caesar? I mean, we might as well list off all their movies. The Big Lebowski.
No, I'm just bringing it up because it's the most recent one. I'm just saying,
Yeah, Burn After Reading. They never have black people in their films.
The same Coen Brothers that also didn't have great stuff to say about Oscar So White.
In fact,
when that,
oh my God, I know.
I mean, right?
Actually, I'm trying to think. The most well-known person of color that they have in their film is Javier Bardem playing what? A stone cold killer.
Yeah.
Friendo.
All right.
Yeah. And I mean, just
Anyway.
I couldn't get over though the fact that like literally like the joke was he's black. Like it didn't seem like there was much beyond that they were trying to do with the character.
What anything you see recently?
Okay, so I got into a Twitter conversation with one of our listeners, right? And conversations are great because everyone learns. But it's a movie I particularly hate.
Oh,
I remember hating it.
Oh God, what was
I
it?
remember hating it. The Help. I will shit on The
yeah.
Help every chance I get.
Oh my God.
Only because this movie does. Not only is there a white savior in this movie who has to help the maids out.
Yeah.
Right. Because they got to help the maids.
You gotta help the maids out.
You got to help the maids.
I mean, what are they
out.
doing? What are they doing on their own?
You got to help the maids out. Now, this is my thing.
This is based on a book too, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is.
I know it wasn't made for me. I know I'm looking at this movie and I'm looking at, okay, this is my thing. This movie wanted to show what a strong black woman was, right? That's what they were attempting to do.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that and showing a woman with levels and depth, they made a woman sassy. They made her like whip her hair back and forth. Her neck was twisting. Her hand was going in circles. Mind you, that this performance got someone an Oscar nomination. Yeah, sure. Which I love black people getting Oscar nominations. And she won. And she won.
She won.
Gotta get that goat.
My question that this brings up again is like, is this another thing that perpetuates the stereotype of like, oh, this mammy character, because she is literally a mammy in this movie, a sassy mammy. Oh, white people are going to see this movie because it's The Help. It's made by Disney.
Yeah.
And you know what? This funny black woman, right? This funny, strong, a.k.a. strong black woman is super sassy, put shit in the pie, and gets an Oscar nom. Like, what is that? Like, how does that present black women to the world now? You know what I'm saying? What are we saying? Like, Viola Davis is in this movie who is awesome all the time. The last time she had a leading role in the movie, Made. Octavia Spencer got this movie. She got an Oscar nomination. Hasn't led a movie yet.
Yeah.
Hasn't led one since. So maybe she got the TV show.
Well,
Yeah.
to be fair, there aren't a lot of Made movies coming out, you know?
Right, yeah.
I mean, you know what?
I mean, she
black
good,
women
but
only
she
go for
still
Made.
Made.
She can play the
We
maid.
haven't had a black female prostitute in a while.
Oh.
Halle Berry ain't been
yeah.
she a prostitute?
In
Monsters Ball?
Monsters Ball? Was she a prostitute?
I don't know.
I know she was having sex in it. All I'm saying
I
is
didn't see that
let's
movie.
respect.
I cannot make comments.
Oh, wait. Time out.
No, we've already had this discussion.
Yes, I've seen the scene and I haven't seen the movie.
Yes.
All right.
Everyone's seen the scene.
Yeah, we've all seen this.
You know what?
We've all seen this.
You know what?
Are we gonna start?
I don't know what this is a new thing that we were doing. Maybe we're calling it a cold open, a lukewarm open.
It was kind of cold.
All I know
we talked
is-
about lady killers and
All I know is it's time to start the show.
Jonathan Braylock, James III, Jerah Milligan.
What more can I say? You know what it is.
black men can't jump.
Black actors, man. Black actors. All right.
Welcome to Black Men Can't Jump in Hollywood.
Hollywood City.
It's Friday.
Uh-oh.
Gonna get you high. Because you ain't got shit to do. I said it wrong.
You did say it wrong.
Yeah, wow.
It's Friday.
I
Wait, hold on,
can't
wait, we gotta
believe
back it up. Wait.
You had the audacity
literally messed that up.
We gotta back
come
it up.
in and do the
It's
lie.
Friday. You ain't got no job.
Listen, let me let you read
You
it.
still got shit to do. I ain't need to read it. I said it right.
No,
just
you
now.
said it. No, listen, man. You gotta say all of it.
Oh, fine. Okay, wait, hold up.
When we be Craig.
Okay, wait. We gotta do the back and forth. Wait,
Yeah, I'll be Craig. Hold on,
wait,
wait.
what's Craig's line?
No, don't worry
Hey,
about it.
hey,
I'm gonna
guys,
set
you know
up.
what? Bye, Felicia.
Okay, now I know you don't smoke weed. I know this.
Uh huh.
But I'm gonna get you high today. Cause it's Friday, you ain't got no job, and you ain't got shit to do. Thank you.
Hate
Thank
your
you.
Chris Tucker.
Listen, I wasn't
dislike
trying.
it. I
I
dislike
wasn't
it a
doing a
lot.
Chris Tucker
I'm just
impression. I
going
was like
to
doing
introduce myself real quick. I'm Jonathan Braylock.
I'm Jerah Milligan.
I'm James the Third.
What are you doing?
I was just trying to do like something new. I'm James the Third.
Wow.
It sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, great. So we're reviewing the film Friday.
Oh yeah, Gary Gray directed this
Yes.
thing straight out of
Love me
Compton.
some F. Gary Gray.
Upcoming Fast and the Furious movie. Was it 12, 15? Which one is it?
I think it's 8.
Is it 8?
The Negotiator.
The Negotiator.
I love that movie so
is a good
much.
movie.
I bring it up every time
and
we talk about him.
Wait,
And
did
what?
Derek Barbershop?
He did. I think he
Oh,
did.
no.
He did the first one, did he?
He did
no,
the
no,
first
that was
one.
Tim's story.
That's Tim's story.
You did Law Abiding Citizen. Was that him?
Oh, was he
Hey, man,
law-abiding?
hey,
This
don't
was
do
his
that.
first.
Don't bring that up. We talking about
This is his first. All right, his first directorial debut.
Is it?
His directorial debut.
man,
He
it's-
used to do direct music videos.
Right.
Ice Cube stars in this film, as well as Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker's first leading performance.
Yes.
He was only in. He was in like House Party 3.
Yeah.
Had like a line.
Yeah, he had like a line.
And
He had his
something
Def
else.
He had like basically what made him big. Oh, also F. Gary Gray. Shout out. F. Gary Gray used to be he used to be like the cameraman for Yo MTV Raps.
Oh, word?
That's how he got into music videos. But like Chris Tucker is the dude who like he did that famous like was the Michael Jackson Def Comedy Jam. Like Michael Jackson was a pimp.
Yeah.
Come here, girl.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on Def Comedy Jam a couple times.
Yeah, and some of those jokes are in this movie.
Oh, all right.
So this
Yeah,
movie
yeah.
technically, it was like it's like a mixture. It was like a mixture of indie and it wasn't. It came out in like 800 something theaters.
Yeah.
They were financing it themselves, but then New Line Cinema came in and they were like, "Hey, we heard about what you guys are doing. We want to give you some money." They're like, "Okay, cool." And then pretty much one of the biggest influences that they had, they were hands off for the most part, but they said because Ice Cube wrote this with what's his name, Pooh,
DJ
Pooh.
DJ Pooh, and
AKA
DJ
guy.
Pooh was going to be Smokey.
What?
Yeah, DJ Pooh was going to be Smokey, and they were like, let's try to get a different actor. Let's try to get somebody more well known. And then Ice Cube was like, all right, how about Chris Tucker? And they were like, who? And he was like, what you talking about, who?
Yeah.
He was in House Party 3.
Yo,
How did
stop
he use
it.
House Party
Stop it. He did
3?
not use that.
Yeah, he said.
I mean, you have to.
He
He
said,
was in
you
that
guys
movie.
just. He
was in
said,
that
you
movie.
guys made that movie, House Party 3. He was in it.
Yeah, yeah.
He was like, Def Comedy Jam. And they were like, I mean, okay. And then so Chris Tucker, and obviously that was the right move.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
Chris Tucker kills.
he kills in it.
So-
he's whew.
The movie made, I believe, like 27 something million dollars.
Yeah.
It only cost like $3.5 million to make. So obviously it did very well.
Yeah.
And apparently made a lot of money on DVD
Yeah,
sales.
like it's a like this movie is legit classic.
Yeah.
It spawned 2 sequels.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it became a franchise. That's a big thing nowadays.
It is. No.
Can you do a franchise movie?
True.
It's so that's I think that's all the backstory.
I mean, yeah, man, this movie is so funny because, like, when you think about like the celebs in this movie, like you have Regina King, Nia Long, you got like Bernie Mac in this movie, like John Witherspoon, like Megan Good when she's little. What is it? Oh my gosh, even
What's his name? Love.
oh yeah, Faison Love.
Faison, baby.
Like if you used to watch that show, The Parkers on UPN, like the best friend of like the lead character is like the woman in the car with like the wig, with the fake. Yo, good for them, man. And if you watch Straight Outta Compton, you saw when Ice Cube was writing it.
Yeah.
Remember that scene when he's like writing
You saw
it?
when he wrote the line, "You got knocked the fuck out."
And then even
which apparently though is an
It has to be an improvised
it was
line.
improvised.
There's
It was
no
improvised.
way that line
to
was-
have him write that is kind of like, nah, you didn't write that, man.
And they tried to show, and they also tried to show you where By Felicia came, which is messed up.
Yeah.
But we say it anyway because it's funny. Remember, like when the like
Yeah,
the,
I remember.
they let her whatever that movie.
Apparently, I read this is IMDb fact that Michael Clark Duncan was in this movie.
Oh, he is. When they do the
Wait,
flashback,
he's in the movie?
When Pooh gets knocked out, what is his name in that? What is his name in the movie? He's the one who always gets knocked out.
Red. He's Red.
Yeah, when Red get the flashback to Red getting knocked out. Yeah,
Mark Clark Duncan's
Duncan's playing
Duncan's
dice. He's
playing
playing dice.
Wow. I
That's
missed
his
it.
first ever being ever in a movie.
Playing
I
crap.
missed it.
Playing craps.
Yeah,
on
it's so-
Friday.
I mean, he's
isn't
like-
that crazy?
He
Yeah.
doesn't look like.
Isn't that crazy that was his first time ever in a role, and then like it was like only like 5-6 years later he's like playing Daredevil.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
it's
Maybe
insane.
7, maybe whatever. But
Yeah, but like even that, and then in the sequel, that's how we got Terry Crews.
you're
was
right.
he- which one?
That's next Friday.
He's in next Friday
Next
or
Friday.
Friday after? Okay.
Well, Terry
Man, I don't
Crews.
remember.
He's in-
Remember Terry Crews was in the background of
Training Day.
Terry Crews is in the background of so many movies.
Yeah, he's always.
He's just dead in
You got
Terminator Salvation.
initial thoughts?
Well, wait. Can we say what the movie is about, though?
Braylock just did.
Real quick.
Oh no, he didn't. Sorry.
About-
Oh, okay.
Well, no,
so the
but
movie
like-
is about two friends. One, it's on Friday. One got fired on his day off.
Stealing box.
You know, for allegedly stealing boxes. And his other friend Smokey comes over and is like, "Yo, let's smoke weed and chill." And that's basically what they do. They
Yeah.
just are chilling
They
on
try
the
to make
stoop.
it through. They try to make it through a day in the
Make
hood,
it through
man.
a day,
It's
you know, and then there's like this
so
subplot
good.
of that Smokey has to sell weed, and if he doesn't sell it by 10 p.m., he's going to get killed, and he kind of drags Ice Cube's character into it, and then there's also this bully that keeps appearing and stuff like that.
Deep boat.
But it's a comedy, you know, it's very chill.
And they have like life lessons in here, like we'll get to it, but like
Yeah.
Craig
Yeah.
grows up in this movie.
Yeah, and this day he grows up. He
Yeah.
becomes a man.
One
by the
day.
end- by the end of the day,
Yeah.
loses his job. They're jobless, but he's a man.
You
I
know?
feel like I asked you for initial thoughts, and you
I'm
like
looking at
trying
you.
not to give them or
No.
something.
I was No, I was just. I just wanted to make sure we
I was
said.
looking at
what-
him, too. I was
just
like-
make sure we said the movie about this. I love this movie.
Yeah.
I love this movie. We were trying to figure out what to watch, and I was like, when Jerah suggested Friday, I was like, we got to do it. I think it's so well directed, and I was remarking to somebody about this recently. They were like, "Oh, does Friday hold up?" And the reason it does is because so much of the humor comes out of the situation. It's just sort of what is happening and the behavior of the people. It's not like, oh, this joke or this, like something that could be, only funny to see once or to hear one, I don't know. I love the pace. I love how simple it is. I love how things just happen. Someone just shows up, and now like we're dealing with now here we are. Now this is happening. I mean. And here's the other thing about watching this movie that I know that I miss in my life. I'm not like around my family enough. So I don't have these things of just like when the mom is cooking the breakfast, and he's like,
Oh, my goodness,
yeah.
Joe.
And he's like so excited about it, and then like a whole scene happens, and then he comes back and he's like, "Where mine at?" And she's like, "Oh, I didn't say I was making this.
I was
for
making it for you.
She's
Y'all
like,
mom did
"You can
that
have
too."
cereal." Oh my
Yo, y'all
god,
mom did that too. I used
My
to be
dad did that.
Yo,
time.
I be so blown.
And so
Wait,
just like,
can I tell you a real quick personal story?
yeah.
My dad I remember my dad would always say, like, you have to eat your food. You have to finish the food that's on your plate, right? Like every parent. And I don't know when it happened, but at some point I remember being like, but I'm full. And my dad was like, look, you asked for it, you're going to eat it, right? And that stuck with me as a child.
Yeah.
And so one day, my dad made breakfast, and I was trying to eat it, and I couldn't. And I was like, I can't finish this. And I said, I'm full. And my dad was like, you need to finish your food. And I said, but I didn't ask for it.
Oh no! I know how this story's going to end.
Oh man.
Well, I know how this story's about to
Oh
end.
man.
My dad stopped making breakfast for me. And he would make breakfast, and then I'd be like, yo, where's mine? He said, you didn't ask for it.
Oh man! Oh. See, my mom was just like the mom in the movie. Like my mom would like,
Yeah,
you'll
that
wake
was
up,
my mom.
Yo, you'll wake up and the kitchen will be just smelling good. It'll just be like, man, it's grits, eggs, bacon, and you're like, oh, snap. I would say you like go do other stuff. You come back, mom's sitting down, watching TV. It's a Saturday. Like, hey, mom, where the rest of the food at? Oh, my mom would be stingy. Oh, it's a little bit left. You go in the kitchen, 1 scoop of grits.
Like, half a piece of bacon.
Yo, what is this? What the fuck is this? Man.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. I go, like, this movie, I remember when I saw this movie. Mm-hmm. I saw this movie at this theater in like PG called like Rivertown. I remember like driving to the suburbs, seeing this movie. I remember it being like packed. And I remember like sometimes, you know, like you see a movie with like a comedy and you can't hear all the jokes because like people are still laughing from the previous jokes. Yo, and I remember, so I used to go, my parents are like very religious, and we used to go to this church. And like our pastor, I won't say his name because the church might still exist. But like the pastor like basically owned a city block in the hood. Like he basically owned a block. Like his house was at the end of the block, and it was the biggest. His house was almost big as the church.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But this pastor had bootleg DVDs.
No.
He had bootleg DVDs. He always had like English muffins like in his basement. Like he would just like give people like stacks of English muffins and stuff like that.
Why did he have English muffins?
To this day,
Like Betty Crocker?
like the ones you get like the one that
Thomas one?
The
Yeah,
Thomas. He always had like Thomas English muffins, like nonstop.
Nooks and crannies?
Like
Why do you have
like I'm talking about like imagine going into a closet and it's just full of freaking Thomas English muffins. Yo, I don't know, but like. And he had all the deaconesses, you know what I'm saying, the female deacons, like working at this place called the Annex, which is in the middle. And like some of the deaconess were so hot.
Oh, no.
So hot. And so in this movie, Bernie Mac plays this pastor who's like super suspect. And all I kept thinking about it when I watched it this time was like, yo, that's the Rev, bro. Like this is the Rev. Like, yo,
man.
The Rev literally, bro, like, the Annex was in the middle of the block. It was another house he bought out in the middle of the block. The women all worked in there. You may have had like, if it was like, you may have had like fish fries every now and then in the summertime. I was like, bruh, so questionable. So questionable. Wow. This movie just felt like so real. It's organic. And it was like a black movie.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like pandering to anything. It wasn't like trying to like make things seem super hood or super like ghetto or whatever. It was like, just a slice of life, man.
Yeah, very slice of life.
So, this is actually the first time I ever saw this movie.
Oh, my goodness. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Listen, I am happy for you that you have finally seen this movie.
Like, dude, that's insane.
I liked it. I really did like the movie, and I think the reason that I liked it was because it felt, even though I didn't grow up in the hood, like even when I was living in New York, it wasn't the hood. I was like, it was like the borderline of the hood. And then I grew up in the suburbs. But it felt familiar, and it felt organic, and it felt like very chill, and it was like, man, you rarely get to see just black people living without there being some sort of like heavy commentary on how we're living.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I really enjoyed that. I thought it was fun, and a lot of the performances I thought were great. I have to say this, though.
What is it?
I have to say this.
Oh, no.
Chris Tucker was like at level 11.
Yeah.
And he needed to dial it down.
Disagree.
No.
Disagree.
No.
You have to
disagree
leave.
so much.
No, get out. Get out. No.
He was.
No.
Honestly, I was looking at it, I was like, this is very obviously his first movie. And I'm glad he got to.
That might. Yes, that's true.
And the other thing was like, it was very obviously F. Gary Gray's first movie because he was just like, I'm just going to let this guy do what he does.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to try to tame it.
See, but I
realized that. I realized that. If he tamed it down, then he probably wouldn't have had the career that he got to have.
Right, yeah.
And at the same time, like, watch this movie, and I was like, oh, my God.
See, the thing is, him,
so over the top.
What was the crackhead's name?
Right, we were trying to Ezell is the character's name.
Like, Smokey and Ezell are two, to me, the biggest characters in the movie, but I feel like their bigness, like, Chris Tucker was the motor mouth around the way. Like, he was like the dude who just like, he just, those people who are just like, just run off at the mouth. And, like, you know, they're, like,
totally.
And that is so That's so his
Dial it
shtick.
down.
like I didn't know his. I knew that movie before I knew his stand up, and I didn't know his stand up until later. And then watching his stand up, I was like, oh, so much of the stand up is like in the movie. Like a few times, like he's literally just saying his stand up.
Oh, do you know any of them?
One in particular, and I wanted to rewatch it to remind myself of. I think there's like at least 3, but the you ain't never got 2 things that match.
Oh,
that whole bit is one of his stand up. It's one of his stand-up.
Oh, I know that.
It's in one. It's and then I think there are a couple others.
Yeah.
But that one is one. And I don't know. It's just like it's so fun to see that translate in a way that I think is successful. I don't know.
No,
like,
it wasn't. It was less to me the words and more like
just his behavior. He's very big.
like
He's manic.
literally.
Yeah.
He's so
there was
manic.
not a scene where he wasn't like.
But
And,
also,
like I'm making that sound.
That's like,
not more for the faces because you guys can't see my face.
Right.
But like he would just be like, what?
Oh, he was that-
He would make this stink face and be like,
Oh, damn.
and like spin his head, and I was like, there's no way, dude. I don't.
I was rolling.
He was just like,
Yeah,
he'd be like, I don't wanna, like when he's with this like this chick who's like bigger than he wanted her to be.
Yeah.
And he's just like,
But he's so. But in this
and
too.
I'm just like, yo, how you go scream damn in her face and just make this ugly face at her, and then turn around and look back and be like,
I don't know, like, because Ice Cube is so chill
so
in it.
rude.
that
I loved it. I
they're
loved
like
it.
really, they're like Abbott and
It's true.
Costello in
It's
a
true.
real way, like,
It's
because
funny.
he's so big, and then Ice Cube is like so, like he like just deals with
I
him,
know.
right? Like,
I
Even the
know.
setup to the bit you were talking about, like the food bed, is like, hey man, y'all got sugar? They got no sugar. Damn. like it immediately goes to like, damn.
oh, you never got 2 things that matter. You got a Kool-Aid?
It's like he goes insane. Kool-Aid, no sugar. Ham, no burger.
And
Like,
he's also still coming down from the angel dust from like a week ago. like he's like twitching and stuff.
I was like, yo, man. Oh
I
my
love,
God.
dude.
I don't. And then part of
it just took. Well, okay, the only reason I talk about that though is because everything, even Azale, what's this guy?
Azale.
Even Azale felt it was big, but I was like, but he's a crackhead.
he's a little more grounded
and he's
because
still
of the
more
circumstances.
grounded. And even the girl like Ice Cube's, side piece, like his
yeah.
girl.
Oh, yeah.
The
Like
main
even
girl.
I was just
What's her
like
name?
there was just something that
Rita?
grounded everybody a little bit.
Yeah.
And like Tucker, it was like it wasn't always, but there were every now and then I was like I'm watching a movie. I'm watching Chris Tucker, like I'm watching him be like, I'm
But
gonna
man,
go
so
for
many,
it.
so many of
I was
his
like,
lines and so many lines from the movie became like catchphrases
that's
for
true.
like like
true.
and like so much of it is like
It's true.
just
Anyway, but I had to say that was the only thing.
yeah
I love it.
yeah man
But anyway, yeah. So the movie starts off, we see. Well, it does start off with him in home, right? With John Witherspoon.
It's him at home.
It shows everyone wake up, which is
Yeah.
so dope.
Yeah.
Like, everyone wakes up, and it's just like the fresh morning in the hood, and it's just like, dude, this movie was just like,
Yeah, let's talk about John Witherspoon a little bit because he was like the grounded actor, like right.
Yeah.
He was like, this is the actor that we're going like the the veteran that will build this movie around.
right
right.
yeah
And I mean, he starts off in the beginning, like, because he's big too.
yeah he's very big in this.
He's very big.
and that actually stood out watching it this time. That stood out more to me this time than it did before. Like
no, is it like now I'm thinking about it here, you guys say big. It's so interesting because like I feel like sometimes if you're like a black person, people are like, oh man, you're so loud. You're so like you're so like loud and you're so big, and like hearing that in this movie, I'm like, that looked so natural to me.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like manic energy. Like sometimes when I talk to you two and people are like, man, you guys are so loud, like you laugh, I'm like, is it? It just feels like it just feels like a,
But-
you know what I'm saying?
But
True.
exactly.
No, that is true.
And I feel like that's what it is. Because he comes out, his first line is, every time I'm in the kitchen, you in the kitchen. But he doesn't just say that. He goes, every time I'm in the kitchen,
Wow, like
you in the kitchen. Right? And it's like, and it's big, but it's, right? Like it's that we know that like leaning on the word time.
Ooh. You know what else you just brought up to me? Sorry to cut you off.
No, yeah.
This is a movie about a black family in the hood, and the dad is still there.
Oh.
Not only is he still there.
You see what happens if a black person directs a movie? The dad is still there with a job, providing for his family.
Mm-hmm.
If the shit exists, it exists, Hollywood.
It exists, people.
Oh.
Come on. Sorry, you go ahead, James.
No, but yeah, right? But like
L.A.
But yeah, so and it was that line. The line starts, and it's just like, oh yeah, it does. He's a character.
So gross.
He's a character. He's a character who like has a very clear. He has a thing that's going on, which is like, you know, he has a job to do, and he wants everybody to be better, right? Like he just wants everybody like, and it's like, and he has his reasons. One is you eating up all the food. Why you in the kitchen eating up all the food?
He's in all the hog bones.
Eat up all.
No, he's. Oh my God!
He said every
black. He goes, yo, you gonna haul up the chitlins, the pig feet?
Yo,
I love pig feet.
Collard greens? He said, my man was just like
the second time.
I love pig feet. No one loves pig feet. I hate pig feet.
Yo,
so
pig
much.
feet are good.
Bro, I can't, bro.
Pig feet. I haven't had it since I was the tiniest person,
Bro,
but
I can't, bro.
I have the fondest memory
Yo,
of
pig feet and chitlins. You ever smell like when my aunts used to cook chitlins in the house? I'm like, yo, y'all got the man.
Chitlins always smell bad, but pig feet though always looked
can't.
gross and tasted great.
Did you ever eat chicken feet?
No,
Y'all ever eat chicken?
never had chicken.
Every
feet.
time I look at that stuff, I'm like, yo, I can't do that. But people eat crab legs and it's supposed to be like, I mean, not crab legs, frog legs supposed to be like a delicacy.
Is frog legs good?
I mean, I don't like.
it's supposed to be.
But yeah, so John Witherspoon. No, and so yeah, that was watching it this time. It was like he was bigger than I remembered.
What did John Witherspoon? Are you on his IMDb?
I can go to his now.
Because I'm wondering what because. The Wayans Brothers show was after this, obviously.
Yeah.
He was just a stand-up.
Was he just a stand-up?
Yeah,
Like,
no,
he
he plays a character in
because they did give him the
Party.
credit. The credit was and John Witherspoon, which
Right.
usually they do for like a bigger actor that has a smaller part. So he had to have been in some stuff before this. And I was just wondering what it was because I know him more from
what's that
the
TV
Wayans
show?
Brothers and the Boondocks and
He was in. He was in Martin. He was in Bebe's Kids. He was in Boomerang.
Meteor Man.
Oh, he was in the 5 Heartbeats. He was in House Party. Oh, he did a lot. I was
that's
Get You
right. He was in House
Sucker.
Party.
Amen.
yeah. So okay,
What's
yeah,
Happening to
he'd
Tupac?
been in a bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we have Mama.
What's her name? Gerard, can you pull that up real quick?
Hey man. My fingers can't move this fast.
Gerard,
Gerard, can you pull it up real quick? My name real quick.
Gerard, you better pull it up real quick.
She had. So since we're talking about her, real quick,
Anna Maria Horsford.
Horsford.
she had my favorite line in the whole movie, like to watch again. So like I literally just this movie is so quotable. Everything about it is so funny. But I laughed the hardest watching it again at this point. So this is later in the movie, like but not too far into it. When after we introduced to Miss Parker the first time.
I knew he was gonna say that.
And then she's like, under her breath, she's like,
God.
"Oh Lord, she got the nerve to come out like that." And then she's like, "Hey, girl," and then Miss Parker's like, "Call me when you get back from work." And she's just like, "Okay." I laughed so hard at that. It was so fake.
Why would I ever?
It's like,
why? What? You're not my mama.
Okay. It was so funny to me. I laughed.
Oh, damn.
I laughed
She
for
been
the
acting
next
for a
like
minute.
Oh,
And it's such a catty thing too. It's like,
She was in movies in the 80s. Woo!
and she's great. She's great. She's super
great.
grounded in this too. Like those two characters were like really real, like really like, and also just sort of living, right? Like Ice Cube goes to both of them with their problems.
Yeah.
And instead of them, they are like, you're grown. They like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not like, we're gonna rescue you from
Right.
this. They both just have like, they're just like,
It's funny because like the problem, like he got fired. And I don't know whether what we're supposed to believe, but he basically got fired for it seems like something he didn't do.
Yeah.
And they're just like, man, you stupid to get fired on your day off.
and it's so. And the thing is,
And they're just like, get over it, go get a job.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he wasn't even fired for that long. He got fired the day before.
Yeah, the day before.
So he got fired on Thursday, and they gave him so much grief on Friday.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, the boy didn't have 24 hours to deal with it. It's like, you got to get a job.
You got to get
He
a job.
just got fired.
Yeah.
And who else? Oh, we just gonna talk about Faison Love? I don't even know. I don't know if we're moving this movie real slow.
It's so many
Yeah.
people. But like
There's
Regina
so many
King.
people.
But I think
Regina
let's just talk about the
King is
actors,
King.
right? Let's just talk about the actors.
love
Here's why I want to talk about the actors too, because there are so many amazing actors in this movie, and I realize, like, man, this is. I'm looking at this film, and here are the people who don't get to be leads, right?
Yeah.
And you know, Ice Cube obviously gets to do some more leading roles, and Chris Tucker too.
Yeah.
You know, Bernie Mac. You know, at the end.
Towards the end, he started.
Towards the end. I mean, kind of, right? Like 2? Maybe.
Yeah, no, but
where
he was
like
like,
the
he was
actual
definitely
lead.
like,
He got to work.
he was
and he
definitely
did the
like
Bernie Mac
working
show.
way more. Yeah.
But especially some of the women, I was just thinking about, like, yeah, so Regina Hall, right?
Regina King.
Oh, Regina
I
King.
always get the names mixed up.
She's in
She's in American Crime Story, and she just won this year. Was it this year?
the
She won a
Emmy,
primetime
right?
Emmy, right?
Yeah.
She won an
Mhm,
Emmy.
She did. Mm-hmm. I remember
She
that.
won a freaking Emmy.
And she's in Jerry Maguire, right? Like
She's the wife
plays
in Jerry
the
Maguire.
wife in Jerry Maguire, and that's the first thing I remember knowing her name.
She was also in Enemy of the State.
Yeah. Enemy of the State.
But yeah, but again, she doesn't get to lead movies. You know what she gets to do? She gets to be Sandra Bullock's sidekick in like Miss Congeniality 2.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like Regina King. I mean, obviously she got her Emmy this year. And the thing is, I love that she's on American Crime Story and like, you know, serialized, so it's a different episode every year. But like, our best female actresses shouldn't still be on TV.
Right.
Like Regina King is on TV, Taraji is on TV, and I'm not.
And
Viola
it's
Davis
hard
on
too
TV,
because
Viola
there
Davis
are
and-
famous people on TV, but it's like, famous black women are like only on TV,
Well,
right? Like
I mean,
it's-
yes, and I mean, like, they're on TV, but are they on like network television shows?
right.
I mean,
Which have
Right.
longer
They are.
contracts.
But my thing is like, I don't even mind them being on TV,
Kinda.
but I would love if it was like, okay, for instance, 2016 or 2015 last year ticket, if Viola Davis had her hit show and then also had her movie come out in the summer, or
Right.
like her Oscar movie, or like,
Right.
Yeah.
and it wasn't just Viola or Regina King. It was
Right.
like it could have been both of them at the same time.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's never, and they were, and not trying to jinx it, but there will never be a year when a white woman is not nominated for Best Actress. Like
Yeah.
it just won't exist. But when you see a person of color, whether
That's
it's
true.
Latina or like, you know, an
That's
Indian
true.
woman or a black woman, it's like, it's one.
yeah.
Has there ever been two nominated for Best Actress at
Best
the same time?
Actress?
Two people of color.
At the same
Best-
two women.
I
as
mean,
Best Actress
I
at
don't
the
know
same
if we
time.
can say no definitively, but I can't remember. a time.
There's one
For Best Actress.
two nominated for Best Actress.
JB's like, we can. We
I
definitely
feel like
can
we
say
definitely
no.
can.
But,
no.
yeah, but what I'm saying is like Regina, like we know Regina King is a good actress.
Never. There's no way.
Like,
How many times has a black woman even been nominated for Best Actress?
Yeah, but
It's got to be like 13, maybe.
I'm looking at her
Yeah.
IMDb right now. She does not have a movie lined up. Like, don't get me wrong, she's definitely working on American Crime Story and The Leftovers, but it's like
She was
does
in the
not have a
Hollywood
movie.
Reporter at the
the
drama.
Round Table.
Yeah, man, I felt like, because they had Regina King, they had
Because on TV,
Jennifer Lopez,
yeah.
because she has her Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
which I was like,
Shades of
Okay.
Grey.
I mean, yeah, right.
Shades of Grey.
I mean, I'm glad that they had her on there. I was really glad just for the conversation.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just was like, they're making an effort.
like
Yeah.
Nia Long is in this movie.
Nia Long, man. Let's
Nia
talk
Long
about
in this
Nia Long
movie.
real quick.
Smart, beautiful, great actress.
Nia
Nia
Long.
Long isn't even leading
I
stuff like
mean,
that. Unless
I
it's-
think
what is
Nia
her-
Long was like my crush.
Oh man, for
She
so
was
many
like
years.
the hottest.
At least it was
She was
Lisa
hot.
on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
it was
I'm,
Lisa
I'm sorry.
on
We're
Fresh
objectifying.
Prince,
I'm
right?
sorry. I don't mean to objectify. I'm just saying, like, as a
No, I
little
mean-
boy,
I mean,
you know, as a like a prepubescent.
I don't know
you
if
know-
if you are just objectifying her.
I'm just saying,
considering
I was
when
just
we
like, that
first
was my
see her
crush.
in this movie.
You know?
she's like running down the street in slow motion to "I want to get next to you." Like,
Hey guys.
I know, and she did a little wait.
And the thing they
and
make,
the thing is, and the thing that I want to say, I mean, this movie has, I mean, interesting portrayals of women at times, right? But like, you know, like she's a beautiful woman, right?
Yeah.
Like that's just a fact, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
That's
so
what we're
they're
talking
chilling on the porch, and Nia Long's character is Regina King's a friend. Regina King is Ice Cube's sister, and they're just on it, and she's running in like slow motion with "I wanna get next to you,"
And
It's
she's
so
like
great.
smart
and then they of
like,
course
sweet.
very very classic. Damn.
Yeah, right.
Wait, no, they don't do. They don't
No,
do
no,
that.
no.
They do it. They do it.
Oh, they do
later.
it later
They do it
with the-
later,
with
and
the-
it's not her.
No,
It's
it's Miss.
oh, it's the other
this is Miss Parker.
oh, they say damn to Miss Parker, but then the big damn right is for the punch in the face, right? But yeah,
I
but
feel
they
like it happens a couple times.
Yeah, they say damn a couple of times.
Yeah.
Miss Parker. Just
Oh, but
likes
they say damn when what's her name? When the other friend shows up later, who like comes by to get like and like Smokey like tries to touch her, and she's like stop, like she like slaps him. Like,
Hope she also. She was also on. I got to look her up. She was on Steve Harvey's show. She was
Yes.
the actress that Cedric the Entertainer, his character, ended up marrying.
right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
So many
This movie
people
put
in this
black
movie.
people to work,
so many people in
man.
this movie.
Regina King and Jerry Maguire was so good. She was working like her butt off, but she never. She okay. So here's the thing. It's like Nia Long, Regina King, like all these actresses and the actors too. Like they, you know, this is where the '90s were such a great time for black cinema, quote unquote black cinema. You
Yeah.
Uh,
know
know what I mean? Cinema, like it was.
TV shows, we were great movies.
You know,
a couple.
and I wonder, and like, I don't know, like this is the thing that it's so hard for us to talk about, but I'm like, because it just felt segregated. And I don't
It
know.
was,
And
yeah.
it was both self-segregated and Hollywood segregated. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like Hollywood basically was like, oh, there's a market for movies with black leads for black people. And we know what that market is. And that market is like, if you make this movie for in the range of $5 to $25 million, you might get $50 to $75 million. And that's a decent profit. We'll do that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you know, black actors and black directors were like, look, we feel comfortable working with, you know, people of color because we don't get to have the baggage of being the token black person on a film set because they won't let us do this for a match. So we'll do that. We'll do this. And we'll exist in this. What will happen, I think, so here's a theory. I think what happened is when they started to phase out these like mid-level budget films, because they don't do that anymore in Hollywood, when they started to phase those out, they started to phase out the black films.
Yeah.
They started to phase out the black TV shows.
Right.
And they were like, well, we're looking to hit home runs and do international, all this stuff. And so they stopped caring. You know what I mean?
I mean, I keep talking about this. I've said this maybe 10 times on the podcast, but the talk that I saw with Malcolm Lee, and he said, like, you know, like black Hollywood is only one market. It's only Tyler Perry to
Hollywood.
To Hollywood. It's like it's such a weird thing. It's weird that like that it has to be a thing. And I remember when this movie came out and when Nia Long was like the it girl. I remember being like, she's about to be in literally everything. And when that didn't happen, it was just like,
I have a theory on that too.
amazing. I couldn't understand. Yeah.
And she was the it girl for black cinema, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She had a chance to pop. The problem was, I feel like it was this article that came out years ago, and it had Will Smith, Halle Berry, and then it had Morris Chestnut and Vivica Fox. And it was saying how like both of those, like both groups were huge to black people. But one group made more mainstream white movies, and one made like black movies.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing about Nia Long that's so interesting to me is like Nia Long had the same projection as Will did.
Yeah.
Because when she got on NBC, she became like white safe. But every movie she did, and the thing is, my question is like, the movies she did happen to be black movies, but I'm wondering, is it because she wanted to do those movies or those were the roles she was getting? Because let's not forget, Halle Berry wasn't getting a bunch of roles back then.
Right,
Like
yeah.
in the 90s, Halle Berry wasn't working.
She was in the Flintstones?
Yeah, I mean, but that was like she did the Flintstones, but like she was literally a sex
true.
object in the
She was-
Flintstones.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you only had at that point, what's her name? Robin Givens, who kind of got phased out when Halle Berry really came on, and then Halle Berry wasn't making huge movies.
I mean, right?
Jada Pinkett wasn't making movies. Jada Pinkett was making Woo,
and then
she made black movies.
And then the same thing sort of happened. This is not the same thing, but the same thing kind of happened when like Tandy Newton was in movies, and then she disappeared and Zoe Saldana started doing like
You know what
it's the
the
same
other-
kind of like they're like.
You know what
okay.
else it is too? It's I think it's the interracial stuff too. The interracial coupling,
Right,
Because they don't like. And I know we do the swirl, the black man and the white woman, but they don't always have white men and black women either. And I feel like they were like, well, we'll give the. And because Hollywood is also sexist, you know what I mean? Actresses didn't get to do.
Yeah.
Unless they were a romantic interest of some sort. And so those things only happened when you had a black lead, right? Right. What Regina King gets to do Enemy of the State. Why? Because she's Will Smith's wife.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, what's Nia Long's most crossover film? She does Soul Food. I'm trying to think like a film that she got to do with a bunch of white people in it. Oh, Boiler Room, right? She's in Boiler Room.
Oh, let me look it up right now.
So technically, that's Vin Diesel too.
Yeah, it's technically Vin Diesel. Let me look. She is the best.
Nia Long. So, and I was trying to figure this out too, because I just wanted. I'll make a quick point about international, because we talk about this. Like, so this movie didn't make that much internationally, and people always say black films don't make a lot of money internationally. I checked this out for Big Mama's House, right? So Big Mama's House, the first one, made $100-something million domestically, 50-something international, right? The second one, though, made almost the percentage for how much it made international and domestic was basically even.
Oh wow.
The third one, international gross was more than domestic.
Oh.
Why? Because of familiarity.
Yeah.
Because they kept pushing it.
Yeah.
And when the international audience became familiar with not only Martin Lawrence, but this property that they kept doing, right?
Right.
Then audiences internationally were like, oh yeah, I'll see that. I remember that. But they never do that for black people.
Wait, John, let me try to clarify something, just for the people at home.
Go ahead.
So are you suggesting... No, this is theory. Let me throw a theory out there.
Okay.
So are you suggesting, based on what you just said, let's say Hollywood had a movie with people of color in it, right? And they just kept making
already
them,
a stretch.
God forbid.
Yeah, and they kept making
Already a stretch.
They kept making those movies, right? And over time, those movies became just like regular things.
Okay.
They pushed the movie, with Jonathan Braylock and James III, just like they would do like Liam Hemsworth and like Chris Pratt, right?
Yeah.
The third movie comes out, now people know you two.
Yep.
Now you guys become international superstars because Hollywood made a movie with people of color in it, right?
I just
And
can't.
that's it. So are you saying that if Hollywood made movies with people of color and just treated them like other movies and just continued to make those movies, over time they would be bankable because people be... No, you stop it,
no,
John.
I don't get it. I can't
No,
follow.
John.
I can't follow
No.
it. Because first of all, you would have to have a movie with people of color in it to start.
But also...
Here's a question. How different is Chris Tucker from Friday to Rush Hour? Obviously
the first one, he's pretty much the same.
But what I'm saying, like his essence, like, do you believe his essence changed?
Oh, I think he's just
essence
as
of
raw.
Chris-
Yeah,
from Friday to-
you know how you said, for instance, like, let me tell you this, like when we brought up Martin Lawrence that one time, we talked about how like Martin on the TV show was different than the one in, what was the movie you brought up, James? Blue Street. Like I feel like that Martin is different, but kind of I think what John's saying is like the Rush Hour Chris Tucker is really close to.
Yeah, I mean,
Friday
I
Chris
would
Tucker.
say he's a hair more grounded in Rush Hour,
Yeah, and he
just
just
because
does
he
it
has
good.
more grounded things to
experience.
deal with
Yeah.
and more experience. That's a few movies in now, right? Yeah.
That's a couple movies down the line.
After Money Talks.
And Rush Hour makes a lot of money internationally, right? So my thing is like, what are they trying to say? Like, are they going to say, oh, but Chris Tucker is different? Why? Because
Not only is Chris Tucker different, but also that movie in particular had Jackie Chan in it.
See, I don't think
So
Chris Tucker is different. I think Chris Tucker just was able to make 3 movies.
Yeah.
And I think what Chris Tucker did is like Chris Tucker had Friday. His next movie was with Charlie Sheen, and Charlie Sheen was very popular.
Yeah.
And his next one, happened to have like Jackie
Just
Chan.
as far as like doing well internationally,
Yeah.
though. That,
But
that
what I'm
movie's
saying, what I'm saying is, a lot of times people will say, and I'm not trying to pretend like there isn't racism that exists around the world, and that for instance, like China's a big market, and they'll say like movies with black leads don't usually play well in China, and that may very well be true. And there might be like some inherent racism within that country as well. But my thing is like when people become familiar with movie stars, they stop caring. They don't see the race anymore.
Yeah.
But then what they do is then they become this revisionist history happens where they say, yeah, but that's a crossover star.
Right.
And that's a crossover star because they have some special unique ability.
Right.
They're able to do something that makes them colorless.
Yeah.
Whereas what I think is like, no. Just audience became familiar with them because for whatever reason, the right producer, the right person at the right time in the right studio allowed that person to be pushed into a movie that got seen globally.
Right.
Made them a star, and then they get to do quote unquote crossover films.
So they treated him like a regular. Like my thing is, when you see like Liam Hemsworth or Chris Hemsworth came out doing the same shit.
Yeah.
They came out making a movie that got pushed, right? And they became stars.
No shade, but Liam Hemsworth,
I bring him up a lot because
I mean, like he gonna make him the lead of Independence Day when Will Smith comes out.
Not only that,
No, that's
but
Chris.
I watched.
Chris.
I
No, it's
watched.
Liam.
No, it's Liam.
And I watched the regular one
because he was in the
recently.
Hunger Games. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I watched the regular one recently, and the son, like Will Smith's son and the president's daughter, have a friendship in the movie.
Yeah.
Legit. So I'm like, when you make them adults now, one, they're not friends, and then you bring in the white dude to like be the love interest of like if that was any other movie, you grew up and your friend is now like the person you fall in love with, and you're telling me he can't fall
I
in
don't
love
know.
with
It
the
just would have been
daughter?
really weird to see a black dude kissing a white girl. It just would have been really weird.
I mean, back to this movie.
Anyway,
before I
so back
get
to this
mad.
movie. Back to this movie. I
Okay,
just
wait,
wanted
there's
to.
so many things in this movie that I love.
Yeah.
Can we just talk about all those things?
I think one of the things that I really liked about this movie, just to go to it, is like they show just the neighborhood. Like you see him wake up, you see the kids, you see like Megan Good and her friend just hanging out. You see Big Worm, even though he was a super shady ice cream man. But most ice cream men are super shady.
I mean, I
so
don't know
if you're
if that's
ice cream
true.
man, no, if you're ice cream man,
Wait.
if you're
I
ice cream
just gonna
man,
say-
yo,
Was he an ice cream man, or was that just a front? Like
it
that's
might
his
have been a
front.
front. I remember growing up, and like even when I moved to the suburbs, the ice cream man had blunts. He had blunts. He had like if you get a J. He had what else? Did he have in there? He had rolling papers.
I did not
Wow,
recognize.
if our ice cream
I did not
man had any
recognize
of that stuff, I did not know.
The thing is that probably I bet my ice cream man did have that stuff, but.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm sure that I smelled weed, but I didn't know what that was. So
Right.
like I didn't like I can't put that together.
Yeah.
You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
Like I didn't know because I wasn't around that in my family. Like I didn't know what weed even was.
Well, yeah. Like, he had everything. He had the 99-cent penny candies, like the little Tootsie Roll Fruities.
Yeah, I love penny.
I used to love them. They were like, they called them Fruities, right? The little small,
Fruities.
the Fruities one. They were so good.
Fruities are
Do
amazing.
you guys remember the nickel caramels?
Oh, I remember those.
yes.
I remember those. I remember it's so like being a kid and like getting the penny candies, and then the girls would always get one or two things: either the huge jumbo lollipop or like the pickles. And I remember like dudes always wanted a pickle, but they would always try to nibble because they didn't want to like bite down on it. And I was like, "Hey, yo, bruh, just eat the pickle, son. Like it's cool, man. Just eat the pickle,
man.
bruh." Like,
Black community is so
Just-
yeah,
homophobic.
it is. I'm like, bruh, just eat. No, but I'm saying, like, bruh, just eat the pickle, man.
Hey, bruh.
It's cool.
Eat the pickle, bruh.
It's
anyone
cool.
out there who's like,
but no homo though.
Yeah, and like, I hate that. Bruh, like, just chill. Like, that is not a bad... Man, whatever, man. That's not a bad thing in
goodness.
the world. This movie had everything.
yeah,
though,
no.
dude.
So so many things were funny that are just like it's like why is that funny?
The
like,
little kid.
What? No. What? Which
When
one?
when they're chasing the kid, he's like, stop playing, stop playing.
Quit playing.
But I love that he kicked over the trash cans. Yo. And when they finally caught him, they beat... I love one thing
They
they did.
took off their Smokey took off his belt and whipped him.
I love they did this thing in this movie a lot where it's a very 90s thing where they like sped up the footage at certain points.
Yeah.
It's like when Big Worm like is in the ice cream truck, he puts his visor on, pats his wig, like that's sped up. When they beat the kid with the
Right.
belt, it's all sped
When
up.
Smokey's running,
Yeah, when he's running,
on Angel
on
does.
And you know what? This movie had diversity. Had Latinos in it as well.
Sure did.
Oh, what were you saying?
Just every time Smokey couldn't get into his house. I don't know why that was so funny to me. Like every time he's just outside, like banging on the
Yo,
mama.
I had a friend
Mama.
who would never bring their kid. I was like, why don't you bring your key. Like, what? Why are you always coming
And he had
home and
been-
knocking on the door? Like, how do you always forget your key, bro? Like, bring your keys with
He
you.
went
Were you
home
that
multiple times.
It wasn't me.
I was
multiple
just like,
times.
yo,
Just get your
multiple times. I'm like, get your key. And then he's like mad at his mom. I'm like, no, man.
mad at his mom. I forgot my key. Like, okay, that's when you pick it up and put it in your pocket.
Yeah.
You're
Bring
gonna
your
leave
key.
He
again.
never did it. He went to
Why?
his house like 3 or 4 times and never got the keys.
Oh, my goodness. The people who will forget their keys, man, I always be pissed at them.
So many things my friends and I would say over and over. One was, what'd he say? What'd he say? And then
He's asking about Big Worm. He's asking about Big Worm.
He's like, what? He just repeats it. And then the other one was when Smokey's like, oh man, I gotta go home real quick. I gotta go to the bathroom. And he's like, hey, come back. Just like with such bass in his voice. Like,
Yo, Ice Cube.
Ice Cube was the man. Yo, we gotta talk about Ice Cube. We gotta talk about Ice Cube.
Let's talk about
Okay,
Ice Cube.
Question. All right.
Gets mad.
I had a feeling in this movie because, as you all know, I personally dislike rappers acting, right?
yes, we all know this.
But for some reason, and I make fun of Ice Cube even to this day every time he acts. But for some reason in this movie,
I found out that Janet Jackson was supposed to be Regina King's character in Jerry Maguire, but she said no.
what?
Wow.
They asked her first.
Wow.
I found that out via Griffin Newman's
I didn't know
David's
that.
podcast. Blank check.
Like, did we? How
Anyways,
do we feel
sorry to
about Ice
derail you.
Cube? He's a rapper acting. How do we feel?
Well, first of all, he
I-
produced the movie
and he co-wrote it.
and he co-wrote it, so you're allowed to, you know.
I mean, like I've said this before. I'm an Ice Cube.
You an
fan.
Ice Cube fan?
Yeah, like
he does his thing. I mean, this is the perfect movie for
Yes.
it.
Yeah, and in this in particular is like, this is my favorite performance of his.
Yeah.
By far. But
This is after he did. Is this after he did Boys in the Hood?
Yeah, he had that.
That's right. That was like
that was
90s.
like
That's right. That was 92.
early 90s.
91, 92.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he was great in this movie, yo. Like, I remember watching him and being like, he did something, and I'm not about to crap on him because I want to, like, whatever. But he did something that, like, I feel like a lot of musicians who turn to, like, acting don't do. It was like, you saw the growth of Craig throughout this movie. You saw him be, like, an immature kid. He was a kid who wanted to do the right thing at one point.
Yeah.
You saw him with the gun and be conflicted about, like, did he need it for protection? He listened to his dad. And then you saw him literally get courage at the end of the movie. So you saw all of that without it feeling forced. At no point did I think that he didn't care about his family or Smokey, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like, it just felt good.
And in this one in particular, probably part of why he's so good in this is like as a co-writer of it, he fully understands, the character. And in it he's going, as a co-writer and producer, right? In it he's going, I want this moment to be this. Like right? Like he's in a way that you aren't thinking when you're just acting and stuff, right? You're not thinking like you're not thinking about the whole
thinking the overall
movie,
picture,
right?
yeah.
I mean, right? Like, he's thinking about the whole movie in a different way in this, and like so much of it is great. Like even the part where, like in other movies, he's a different actor at moments like this, but in this one, he's like, where your mama stay, where my mama stay. Like in that part, like it's not like.
It felt real.
Yeah, it feels real. It's not like him being like, or like forcing it or being too rappery in that. It's really just like he's trying to knock some sense into Smokey. And I really like him in this.
Yeah, man.
Wait, do we like rappers who act now? Guys, I'm
First
conflicted.
of all,
I don't know what to do.
First of all, our favorite actor is
It's
Will
not the
Smith.
same.
And
it's not the same.
It is the same. How is it not? In fact,
It's Will Smith.
we look at this. Ice Cube has now acted more than he's rapped at this point.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been acting since 1992,
Stop
bro.
arguing this.
Will
Bro,
Smith.
he's been
Stop
acting
arguing
for
this.
over 2 decades.
Will Smith, okay? All right, it's not a rapper actor, right? Will Smith,
Will Smith
okay,
is
he did a
legitimate-
song or two.
He is the
song.
epitome
He
of
did a
rapper.
song
He is
or
the
two.
epitome of rapper turned actor.
You take that back.
The first season of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he's literally terrible.
The show is
He's
called The
literally-
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. He
it's
was named The Fresh
after
Prince.
his-
First off-
he's not a good actor in that. He openly says he's not a good actor in that.
He has lines from his raps in the show. He's like, Will, sometimes you have to know parents just don't understand.
Yeah.
And then he just looks at the camera like, come on.
Will Smith.
All the
Smith-
camera mugging in this movie though is so fun. Every
so
time
great.
Ice Cube looks at the
Will Smith is different though. Will Smith is like, you know what Will Smith is?
How is he different?
Will Smith is like. Will Smith is like if you're going
he's
camping.
better, but-
He's like if you go camping, right? And all of a sudden you see like a horse that just like chops by you. And you're like, oh my God, is that a horse or is that a unicorn?
Why is there
and
a
it's
horse in
unicorn.
campgrounds?
And you're like, I thought unicorns didn't exist. And you're like, no, there's one.
There's
No.
one unicorn.
And it's Will Smith.
So Will Smith
right.
is the one unicorn. What about Queen Latifah?
Yeah, man. What about Queen Latifah?
Queen Latifah is amazing. She's amazing.
Oh, no.
No.
You better stay quiet.
All right, let's talk about something else.
How dare we not have done a Queen Latifah movie?
I mean, yeah, that's on us.
That's on us.
man.
I'm sorry about
Well,
that.
no, but that being said,
We're gonna do
I have always had I've always felt, I don't know how I feel about rappers turn actors, just because of Will Smith, just because of how I feel about Ice Cube, just because of how
I just don't like-
just because of how like so many. I think we talked about this with Dope. Like even though Shameik Moore is kind of more recognized as an actor than he is as a hip hop or as a R&B
YouTube
artist,
R&B,
right? But like
Different, I think.
it kind of is different, but I talked about that in how there's, I think it's kind of in the black community, but it also might just kind of be in Hollywood and maybe even what you have to do. But like so many black people have their toes in other hands in other pots early, you know, in a way that like we really see happening with white people later. They're like, oh, I've established my acting. Now I can kind of do these other things.
Right.
But like for a lot of black people, it's kind of like early on, you see their.
Well, I have a question about that. Is that because you have to? Like, for instance, like again, I feel like John, and it's not to misquote you, but I feel like sometimes you talk about like how you will have what's that guy's name from Avatar?
Yeah.
Sam Worthington.
Sam Worthington. Like you have a Sam Worthington who can literally come from out of nowhere and be in these movies. Whereas I feel like if you're black, you have to have like a huge. You have to do
People have to
something
know
else.
your name.
Yeah, you have to do
Yeah,
something
but like
else.
even Shameik Moore, like when you look at This Is Dope, which was an indie, so I can't use him as an example.
But
No,
even
you
with
can't.
him,
because what I was about to say isn't what you're
Because also,
talking
like,
about.
think about like we're not talking about rappers who are not popular. We're talking about
right.
people who have huge
yeah,
followings.
these are like
huge names.
Ludacris, T.I. Like
You know what
all
I
these
mean?
guys.
Like,
Yeah,
the idea is that they get options because basically we'll look at a script and Hollywood goes, we need a name. Okay, we need a name for these black parts. Okay, what is Beyonce doing?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they'll look at celebrities.
But then also, I think part of it is, and it's hard because I think it's different for everybody, and there definitely is a trend of this. So I don't know why even argue it. But I know for a fact that like Diddy, like just wanted to act and like forced his way into most of the things that he like. I remember with Raising the Sun
he's
when he did
allowed
that.
to.
Like sure.
I mean,
Yo,
it's different
don't
if
you
you're
bring up
look if you're
his-
producing.
But he auditioned multiple times.
Right,
like
right.
he like, you know what I mean?
No,
Like
he did.
No, he did. It's on
Did
paper.
you see it?
I didn't see his audition.
Did you see?
No,
Wait,
it's
if it's on paper, then it's on
no,
paper.
No, I'm saying, I'm talking about, did you see the performance? And I don't like crap on people's
No,
performance.
I didn't. And you know
Did
what?
y'all see that thing?
All right.
I was in New York.
getting way
I was
off
in
track.
New York when that was playing, like for a trip, and I'm mad that I didn't go see. Anyway. Anyway, I just think that there's.
All I'm saying is, okay, so Idris Elba is finally about to be the lead of movies, right?
Yeah.
My
Which
man,
one?
what?
Which one?
He's gonna be in the Stephen King one, right?
Yeah, but that's he a co-lead with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
Oh, come on! Isn't he gonna be something else too? Isn't he the main bad guy in something?
He's in
He's
Star
the main
Trek.
bad guy,
Star
so
Trek.
then that
But he
means
ain't. That he ain't the lead of
so that
Star
means
Trek.
somebody else is the lead.
All I'm saying is when my man Idris gonna be blah 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 starring Idris Elba.
good deed.
Yeah,
Hey,
no
you take
good
that back.
deed.
You take that.
He's the star.
You take
No
that
good
back.
deed.
You take that back right now.
Yeah, but
Tyler, what is it? Little Daddy's little girl.
You take that back. He doesn't even. He disavows that movie.
Okay.
But I'm just saying. Okay, wait. Here's the thing, though. Idris, right? Okay. Here's my thing. This real quick point. Alex Skarsgård, right? And we talked about this on another podcast. But people were like, I was like, Alex Skarsgård came out of nowhere to be Tarzan. They were like, he didn't come out of nowhere. He was on True Blood. Okay, whatever. Flip. True Blood. What is recognized as one of the greatest television shows of all time?
The Wire.
The Wire. And in fact, hands down, like a lot of people have it number one, right?
Yeah.
They say The Wire is the greatest. Who was on The Wire?
I mean,
Idris. Not only was Idris Elba on The Wire, he was the. Dude, he did not Stringer Bell overcome, like, wasn't he bigger than Avon Barksdale?
John, right now you're speaking in.
And then, wait, time out.
If the British black man can't get it, nobody can, John.
And if The Wire wasn't big enough, then he was like, fine, let me do a show on my own.
All right,
called Luther, where it's just
up.
about me.
But
And people are like, oh, Luther's great too. Let's give you some awards.
But before we get distracted.
And yet people going to try to say Alex Skarsgård, who's like fourth lead on a freaking True Blood.
But before we get distracted,
Go, John.
He gets to be Tarzan.
Get him, John.
$180 million.
Hold up.
Get him,
Let's
John.
talk about this movie, though. Let's talk about this movie.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about Friday.
With this movie, though, like Ice Cube being in Boys in the Hood is not just a rapper playing in a movie. It's poetic. It's poetic that Ice Cube plays that part in that movie.
Yes.
Because of who he is and his own upbringing, right?
Yeah.
And so then as Ice Cube as an actor, right? Like he was like, I want to do more of this, and like paved his own way, like wrote this movie.
Had to do it.
And not only did he have to do it, but they made a great film together. And then now flash forward to just to do his story, right? Flash forward to Straight Outta Compton, where actors play rappers, you know, and like sure, his son, who is also a recording artist, plays him. It's like, I don't know, like this feels like, and granted, it's like that's a form of nepotism, obviously, but
are you trying to say like this is how we get into it? Like
this
we
is
have
how,
to just
this is
basically
definitely
make our own.
how. I don't know. It's not the only way to do it, but
it's the biggest way.
And this particular path is.
I have a question.
I don't know. It's meaningful. It means something.
Yeah,
How
it
we
definitely
just
is.
said, we all kind of just said you have to like dabble in a little bit of something else.
Yeah.
Us three, right?
Yeah.
Now, I love hanging out with y'all. We got a podcast, right? And we all want to make movies and stuff. Is this us?
This is our rap
to get into movies and TV.
This is our rapping. I mean,
Is
look,
this our
I
version
didn't
of
do-
rapping?
Are you joking?
I'm
stand up
is this
or
like-
Are
or-
we trying to pretend like we ain't trying to be?
I didn't do stand up or anything.
Are we trying to
of the
pretend like the end of this podcast isn't Black Man Can Jump in Hollywood? That this podcast will end when we all get in a movie together?
Yo, the podcast gonna end when we all get in the movie?
Oh yeah, wait,
it's gonna
and then all of a sudden
it's gonna end?
we'll completely sell out.
No.
We'll just be like, oh, it's over.
I disagree. I'm gonna be in the cut like, welcome to Black Men Can't Jump
On
in Hollywood.
Facebook-
This is James the Third.
Yo, I'm sorry.
Jonathan's in a movie. Which happens to be the movie we're discussing today.
That just reminded me real quick on Facebook. There's so many dumb arguments happening on Facebook, but I just have to mention this real because I just thought it was so funny. This stupid person was just like, somebody wrote like, hey, I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember it. Look, it's clear that racism still exists in this country, and you know, black people are not on an equal playing field. And somebody wrote back, aren't they though?
No.
And then this person was like, what are you talking about? Blah 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 blah, and like all these facts, and they go, but Obama though.
hey, listen, I ain't trying to go.
Hey,
no
whoever that
tirade
is,
right now.
delete your account.
But Obama though.
Delete your account. Okay.
Do you know? Do you? I don't even have.
See Hillary Clinton's tweet. Delete your account.
I don't even have energy. But back to this.
All right,
I feel
let's
like
go. We gotta wrap it.
Yeah, I know. It
up.
sucks that we have to wrap it up because I have so many things that we didn't even
basically
say
at
about
the
this
end,
movie.
I don't know if you saw it, but at the end of the movie,
End of the movie.
they're shooting so Smokey. So Ice Cube's got a gun. We haven't even talked about my man.
This whole movie, we haven't talked about
with the lazy eye.
whole movie.
What's his name?
Tiny
Lester.
Tiny.
What's funny is Zeus is his nickname.
His nickname is Zeus.
His name is Tiny.
Tiny Lester Jr.
His name is Tiny.
His name is Tiny,
Tiny
Lester.
Lester
Tiny
Jr.
Lester.
Tiny Lester Jr. You know, he's the one who knocks out DJ Pooh in one hit. Pop.
Yo, I'm gonna hit you again. Come here.
My bike, punk. It's my bike, punk.
And so that's happening, right? He keeps harassing them. Meanwhile, Smokey and Ice Cube, they're trying to. Ice Cube's got his gat. He's gonna walk Smokey back to his house. A drive-by shooting happens. They almost get killed, but it's done in a funny way.
Yeah, because the thing is, throughout the movie, they keep saying, "Oh, you see lights, drive-by." So like they're always on the lookout for a drive-by, but then they just happen to get in one.
So that kind of passes, though. They kind of get out of that. And then basically Tiny comes down the street. He clearly has beaten Nia Long's sister, Felicia.
Mm-hmm.
And so Nia Long gets in his face. I'm not scared of you. Blah 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 blah. Like you're terrible.
In a great
and now
scene.
all of a sudden the whole neighborhood's out. The
out.
whole neighborhood's watching this.
We just had it for a second. That scene
Nia
when
Long's great.
when she is yelling at him, and the things that she says, just like I ain't one of these fucking men. Blah 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 blah. It's just like
I ain't scared of you.
She's
no,
like,
she didn't say man. She said I ain't one of these niggas.
Yeah. She said. She's like, I ain't one of these niggas.
You
I ain't
can't
scared
tell.
of you.
They might be. All these niggas might be scared of you, but I'm not. And you're just like, yes.
But then
he slaps her or like knocks her down. Oh, oof.
Open palm slaps her, and then Ice Cube is like, nah, man, that's not happening. And he's like, what, you gonna fight me? Pulls out a gun. He's like, what, you gonna shoot me? And John Witherspoon has that
Flashback.
His flashback. He's like, man, we used to
fight like men.
we fight with our hands, because at the end of the day, nobody died, which was, I think, a reference, right? Obviously, to Ice Cube's biggest song. It's a good day. Well, actually, nobody died.
Yeah.
Nobody died today. And so, we hear a gunshot, so you think he might have shot him, but then it cuts back. You realize he didn't actually. Puts the gun down. They fight.
Hits him with a brick, boy.
He gets messed up.
The shit kicked out of him.
It's so funny because early in the thing, and this is something I think that it still exists to this day. Like John Witherspoon was like, people run to guns because they're scared to get their ass whooped.
Yeah.
And no one wants to, but like, you would get your ass whooped, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that was
And
just
you
the
know
thing.
what, though? And the thing is, too, Debo is bigger than him, towers over him. He does still get weapons, right? Like, he picks up a brick, right? Like, it's like, if it wasn't
I was thinking about that.
If it wasn't for the brick.
Killed him with that brick.
And that's the thing. I keep going back to that. I'm like, man, they had this great message, but if it wasn't, he needed the brick.
But he had to win. No, but he had to win, bro.
Yeah.
He had to win.
And
But I was just like, you could have killed him with that brick.
Yeah, no, that could have been it. That could have been lights out.
Yeah, and he beat
Could have been
two
lights
women.
out.
He beat
did
two
beat two
women.
women.
No,
Fuck
I mean,
that dude.
I thought it was
Debo needed to go down.
Didn't it suck, though, that, like, people didn't help him out?
It's so funny because a thing that I don't even think I noticed until watching it this time is that when the mom's like, she's holding the gun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I knew that.
So I don't think I realized that.
Oh,
when
yeah, she was going to shoot him.
She was like gonna just shoot him.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like,
but think about it. No, it's so funny you say that. But think about New York. Like, we all live in New York. People don't help people in New York.
Yeah.
Like, I've been on trains. I mean, I've been with you.
We've helped people.
Yeah, I mean, we have. But it's like, I've been in places where it's like, you see like an argument happening and no one comes to a woman's aid. Like, I've seen it.
hate that.
And then by the time you get there, it's like, no one, like, to me, it's like, if this woman's at the end of the car, I shouldn't be, by the time I walk from one end to her end, someone should have beat me to it.
Yeah.
what kind of things are you guys seeing?
No, but it's like, I mean, have you know? Like,
I've
I feel
stopped.
like, yeah, I mean,
We've stopped.
done
Yeah,
it.
wait, what is this?
We were outside of UCB and saw something. Because, like, I feel like people are such in their own world where they want to be like, they don't want to be
I mean,
involved.
I've never seen a fight that I have thought. Well, I probably have never really seen a fight, but I've never seen an altercation
I've seen
which
a
I was like,
couple
I gotta get it. I've seen people arguing,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen like
Fists
or like people grab. I've never seen people grabbing each other. I've never seen.
We
anything like
were walking out of the training center, Times Square, basically,
Yeah.
right? And
like, Bray saw
yeah,
it before me.
I saw
Oh
a
my
man like
God.
push a woman, and when I came out, he was grabbing her.
I've never seen anything like.
Yeah,
But it's like, no one helps. And it's
Yeah.
like, it's a thing that happened then. Because you don't want to be involved. Like, people are like,
Yeah.
I don't want to be involved. Like, think about how many times you hear about these stories about like women who are attacked and they're like screaming and people don't open the window.
Right. Yeah. It's
crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's a thing.
Yeah, I was watching that, and I was like,
No, that
I
is
know
a-
this is a thing, but man, it makes me so sad that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so but basically, Ice Cube throws a brick in his face, and,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then he gets
Knock the fuck out.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yo.
Give me my money.
All right.
You guys inspired me to do something today.
What's that?
Okay.
What are we going to do?
Hit that swirl music, yo.
Okay, here we go.
Now, this is the thing. I had a beautiful swirl. It involves Smokey and a Michelle Pfeiffer looking woman in the car.
I love your go-tos.
A Michelle Pfeiffer looking woman.
I mean, it's the 90s. I love Michelle Pfeiffer. But as we sit here and we talk about Nia Long and her strong, powerful blackness, I want to change this scene up a little bit.
Okay.
So this is after the fight. This is after Craig has now defended her honor and she's cradling him. Because that's what your woman does. Like, you defend her, you know what I'm saying? Because you're one now. She's cradling him, right? They're just sitting there on the ground, right? Just the two of them. Everyone goes home, right? And then, like, he glances up. They peer into each other's eyes. They start making out, right? She has on that sweatsuit. And he's like, you know what? I love champion. She's like, do you want to be a champ? He's like, yeah. She's like, it's time to grow up, Craig. It's time to grow up. She pushes them in the bushes a little bit. So they're like hitting.
A little bit.
They're hitting. Next thing you know, that champion sweatsuit come on.
No. Right there in the bushes, everyone's outside.
No, everyone's back in. They go back in
Literally,
the house.
everyone's
They go
outside.
back in the house.
When they get scratched up?
They go back in, but that's the point. That's the point. They wanted to
That's
make,
the point.
They wanted to have love the old-fashioned way.
The
Where it was-
old-fashioned way?
Yeah. When it was just
Literally inside of a bush.
When you
When it
say
was-
old-fashioned, you mean like caveman
Yeah,
style?
when you were just a man and she was just a woman and y'all just go at it. You get a couple of scars from some rocks and twigs, but you're not faded by those rocks and
Literally,
twigs.
this is not a thing.
You're not phased by those rocks and twigs because you're in it. You're passionate. The rocks and twigs make you feel more intense. Next thing you know, you know what they do?
What do
They have a loud yell together. They have one of
Why
those,
do they do that?
They have a loud, they both.
I don't like that at all.
They both release. What a. Oh! You know what I'm saying? They release
She
together.
does too?
Yeah, because they now have experienced something that very few have.
I don't.
Ecstasy.
I feel most people have experienced sex. Okay,
Ecstasy.
Also, can I just say real quick? I mean, that was great.
Thank you.
I mean, thank you for that.
So that
because
wasn't a swirl,
I
though.
honestly think that
No, it wasn't because I wanted to do a swirl. I had one, but like listen to you guys. I was like, you know what, man?
this movie didn't
Nia
respect
Long
the
was
movie.
like
This
Nia
movie
Long
didn't
was like so
Nia
powerful.
Long.
It's like, you know what? Good for hey sisters. You out there holding people down, man.
they holding people
God
down.
bless y'all, man. Sorry, go ahead. What were you about to say?
I was about to say something else, but then I realized I had a question. The movie Lottery Ticket.
Did you just bring a lottery ticket in?
How
here?
you gonna bring up lottery ticket?
Because I was like thinking
Take
about.
the headphones
I was
off.
about to talk about something else.
Starring Bow Wow.
Starring Bow Wow, but Ice Cube is also in it. It's very much like, it's a lot like Friday. We said this on a
It
recent
is
episode.
true.
It's a lot like Friday. But is it good? Is my question.
No,
What?
no, it is not good.
Come on, there's a character named Samaj. His name
That's
is
another rapper trying
James
to turn an
backwards.
actor. Bow Wow.
Little Bow Wow,
Like Mike?
You just don't
Yeah,
know.
nah.
You move so fast across the floor.
Did you ever see like Mike?
But
I
wait,
did.
but
I didn't
wait,
even
but
hear it.
how's this?
I didn't
Wait,
hit it
hold
either.
on. Here's my question. I might get some shade for this.
Uh-oh.
But hasn't Bow Wow always been acting? Because he didn't start writing his raps until.
Oh, you just shaded Bow Wow.
No, but I mean it's.
I mean, he was 13
No,
year
but
old
wait,
kid.
but Cypher talked about this on the House Party episode. Like actors that are also rappers
Drake.
are Drake, for example. He talked about Drake. He
Minaj,
talked about
too.
Nicki Minaj. They're
Childish
people who
Gambino.
are like really charismatic and who can really play a part really well. And then when Bow Wow started writing his raps, you were like, oh, okay, right? I mean, like
I
you
wasn't
were-
like okay when he started writing.
but
the raps.
no, but were you like okay before?
I was like, you know, when he was on that song with Destiny's Child, bumping, and I was like, yo, bruh, you
Wait,
cool.
did he write his rap that song like I ain't never had nobody show me all the things that you
No,
done show
I think
me
Fresh
and show me
as I'm Is was like his first.
All right.
Like I think.
All right, this is enough. Why
All
are we
right.
talking about Bow Wow to end this show about Friday? All
Bow
right.
Wow. You just don't know.
Time for the cause, real quick. It's hot in the studio.
Yeah, I have no body fat anymore.
So, if you never listened to the show before, what's your problem? No, I'm just playing. Thank you for listening.
But seriously,
Well,
what
actually-
is your problem?
no, really, thank you.
Thank you for letting us yell in your ear for an hour.
Thank
whatever.
you.
So the cause is more leading black actors in Hollywood, major motion pictures. So if the film helped the cause, we give it a black fist. If it kind of helped the cause, we give it a white palm. If it didn't help the cause, we give it nothing. All right, you guys ready to do this?
Oh, I'm so
All
ready.
right, this is going to be real. No.
One, two,
In
three?
fact, I'm going to do it
let's
so
just
quick.
do
In
it.
fact, 1, 2, 3. Here we go. Three black
Pow.
fists.
With that
I wasn't even going to
fist.
pretend like it wasn't three black fists.
Yeah.
If I
Jonathan
saw a
didn't
white
even
palm
look.
went up, I would have knocked someone. No. All right.
With the assist.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
but I go first. I gave this movie a fist because this movie made me. I think I sent y'all a text when I was watching it. It made me so happy. Like, I just felt happy watching this movie. It felt like this movie was unapologetically black, but
Yeah.
in the best way. It felt like, again, like they didn't pander anybody. There are so many celebrities now that was in this movie. This was their first movie, like Nia Long, like Regina King, and they were great. Like Chris Tucker. Chris Tucker became.
It wasn't their first movies.
No, not their
Oh,
first.
gotcha.
Not first, but like it was a movie that featured all of them. And like Chris Tucker became the first black man to make 20
mil,
And like
baby.
this movie helped him get to that
20
point.
mil.
20 million.
Highest paid actor in Hollywood that
You know,
year.
20 mil. And the thing is, like, we saw black people live in a hood, in a ghetto, as they say, and like their lives weren't devalued to me. Like their lives were just, to me, this movie was as good of a coming story as like fucking anything else you might watch with, like, was it Breakfast Club?
Yeah.
Any one of those things where it's like we see their slice of life. This was a part of ours. And even if you weren't from a hood, it was relatable. Like, even John said, he's like, you know, I didn't grow up in a hood, but it felt familiar because these are characters and, like, people who are more than just a skin color. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So, man,
Yeah.
bless.
Yes, and this is, I talk about this a lot. I think when I talk about why I gave a movie a fist, but like there's that part in Barbershop when like the movie's great, and then there's that part when they're like, "This is the only thing we got," and you're like, "Oh, I can't," right? Like,
Yeah,
and,
man.
like and they just make it about this whole other thing. And this movie never has that moment. It's never that moment of like, it's never this moment of like, black folks, we got to do this thing because we so black, right? Like it's literally just no, but it's literally just like watching a moment of people. I felt like I was like, this is our like Wes Anderson, like they never go in the middle of a Wes Anderson movie. They're never like, this is what white people have. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're never like, this is our thing, right? Like it's just, we're seeing people live, go through their things, do their things, behaving and living in a way that we recognize, right? Because we black people, right? But then like, you know, but it touches people on a human level. I know so many white people that love Friday.
Yeah.
They like love Friday, you know, and like and that to me, like that's what it's about: making movies that people love, not movies that are catering to a specific thing or anything like that, right? And there's just so much about this movie that I love. That when Red is trying to get his bike back, and he's like, it's kind of like it's both ours.
Yeah, that's
It's
funny.
kind of like it's both ours. You're a grown man.
You're a grown man,
saying
yeah.
this to another grown man.
Oh, man.
Anyway,
Yeah.
I love this movie.
And
So well directed, et cetera, et cetera.
I gave this movie a fist because of everything that's been said, and like, I mean, come on, it cemented Ice Cube's career as an actor, whether we like that or not. I mean, we do, because Ice Cube has done some great
Yeah,
stuff.
man,
He's all about bringing in other people from the community. You know what I mean? And so, the thing that I really love about this movie is that it launched Chris Tucker's career, and Chris Tucker, great comedian, but the fact of the matter is, he needed somebody to take a chance on him, and he had basically no credits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, he had like a line in a movie, right? I mean, it's almost as if somebody, you know, went to watched the movie like, I don't know, like How to Be Single, and they saw, you know, like a scene in which
no.
somebody delivered a line, and they were like, oh, that's really funny.
I don't like
We
this.
should put this brother
No, see, I don't
as
like-
the star,
I don't like
as
this
the
now.
helm
No, because
of a major motion picture.
I don't like
and then
this.
that person
Okay.
Because
becomes on the
I don't-
picture.
I don't like this.
And then
though,
they do
because-
even a greater performance.
talking about
This isn't-
himself.
And then
No, he's
through
talking about-
experience,
Those of you that don't know, he's talking about
make
himself.
it to be on a marquee.
No, I don't.
And make the most money out of any actor
I don't like
in
this.
the world.
Because
His voice has gotten real squeaky.
yeah,
He's
In
yeah,
one
your voice
year.
is looking really-
in 1 year.
Is this your Chris Tucker impression?
I don't know what this is.
All I'm saying
This is free slave impression. This is like a slave.
It's
Chris
maybe.
Tucker, Chris Rock,
maybe
or maybe a little bit of.
Jonathan Braylock one day
What is happening?
will be the star.
I thought he was doing his. Okay.
But this was a really good movie, so
Honestly, though, I do
this.
agree
Three
with
blackface.
that, though. I do agree with that.
all right.
Can
We'll
we just
see
acknowledge
you.
he just did that, right?
It's kind of like it's both.
I'm just saying. All right, guys. We're going to
for
plugs. Bye, Felicia.
Peace.
What's up, guys? It's John Braylock here for plugs. Just so you know, you can check us out on Twitter at Black Men Podcast, on Instagram, blackmenpodcast.com for show dates and things like that. Speaking of shows, we are coming to LA, Hollywood City. Yeah, come on out to LA. If you're in the area, we're going to be at the UCB Franklin Theater performing with Astronomy Club August 18th and August 22nd. And we're going to be at the UCB Sunset on August 21st and on August 20th. I think I'm messing up these dates. Franklin is the 18th and the 23rd. Sunset is the 22nd. On the 20th, Black Man Podcast is doing a live taping at Hollywood Improv. So, write those down in your calendars. Don't mess them up like I did the first time. And you can follow me at John Braylock on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, at Jerah Milligan on Twitter, and at Jerah M on Snapchat, at James Third Comedy. Third is spelled 3RD on all social media accounts, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. And that is about it. Next week, we will be reviewing the film Cool Runnings. It was actually a live taping at Del Close Marathon in New York City. So yeah, Cool Runnings. Watch it. We'll see you next week. Bye.
That was a HeadGum podcast.